Good morning. It is such a great day to have synchronicity. I am so excited for our next guest. We have Dr. Ferguson joining us today. Dr. Ferguson, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming to share tips and tea with us. We are so excited to talk with you this morning. So let's just dive right in. Tell us about yourself and your practice.
Okay. So, I am a licensed psychologist and a licensed clinical social worker. I'm also a certified trauma specialist, and I've been doing mental health in one way or another since the 80s. I'm dating myself. and,
An
it,
expert.
and yeah, and it really started with my first job working for a facility where they housed children who
Mhm.
had mental health issues. So from then on, I've just been schooling and getting the education and getting the experience on the way. So
Mhm.
now what I'm doing is I do psychological evaluations. I also do individual, family, couples therapy. Um, I do some trainings here and there. And, you know, I'm an author. So
Yes,
I'm doing a little bit of everything
a
right
little
now.
bit
But,
of
you
everything.
know, my goal is to just really educate people about mental health and how it affects people and, you know, just to normalize it a little bit
Mhm.
so that people will, actually go get help when they
Mhm.
notice that something is not the way they want it to be.
Absolutely. Yes, that is the goal of this channel and of our videos is to take the silence and the stigma out of mental health. So I am just so humbled to have an expert in the field that has carved out some time to sit down with us and to drop some gems as to mental health and mental awareness and helping us fight the stigma and letting individuals know that it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah,
So we are humbled to have you this morning. Thank you.
thank
So
you.
tell us about your two books. Mommy Gets Her Smile Back and It Is What It Is.
Okay.
Unless you do something different.
Yes, yes. That was my first book. It is what it is, unless you do something different. And that was actually born out of a novel that I was writing.
Mm.
It's a fiction book. It's still in the works. And I was writing that, and as I'm writing about these women in my book and the issues that they're going through, because these are all, combinations. These women are combinations of people that I know and
Mhm.
people that I've counseled and done therapy with. So as I'm going through it, I'm like, wait a minute, I should do something nonfiction to kind of
Mhm.
help women understand how they're maneuvering in relationships and how they can do better. Because when you start seeing the same stuff over and over again, even though it's a different face, you
Mhm.
know that you should start to think that you got to do something different
That's right.
and not continue to, point outward and say, all these people are stupid or whatever. It's time to, say, well, what can I do differently? So that's what that was born out of, just to really help. And I said it was for women when I first started writing it, but some of the guys that have read it have told me that they've gotten a lot of information and good advice from it as well.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same energy, different face.
Yes.
And that's
That
some
is a light bulb warning sign, red flag for you.
yeah. Tell us why these books are important.
Well, I think that they're important because they bring awareness, as you talked about, bringing awareness to the issues that we're seeing in our daily lives. Mommy Gets Her Smile Back is about a little girl who is seeing depression play out in her
Mhm.
mother. And she's not understanding what's going on, as kids usually don't. And
Yeah.
oftentimes they think it's something they did, they're blaming themselves. So this is really a book for children that their parents can read with them, just to give a shine a little light on what might be happening with this mother or
Mhm.
your mother or your aunt or even your dad. So it just puts words to what happens when someone is depressed and how they can get out of it. Because in the book, I talk about, how mommy starts to heal from her depression. So I think these books are really important because, as you said, a lot of this is so silent. People aren't talking about these things because they often internalize this idea of it's me and nothing's going to change, or it's the world and nothing's going to change. And both of those are wrong. You can actually make changes in your life for the better so that you can be happy.
Yeah. And I'm so in love with the idea of having a book where a mom is explaining her feelings to her child. And so that is, again, normalizing the conversation and saying that it's okay. And this is what this looks like. And this is a part of me. And I'm on a journey. Right. And so it says that this is not something that we have to be ashamed of. And it's educating at a young age on what this looks like. So that is beautiful. Thank you for that. What disparities, Dr. Ferguson, have you seen in mental health, if any, with the Black and Brown community?
Oh, yeah. This is something that I've talked about in training, because one thing that we see and is not often talked about is that Black and Brown people are often diagnosed with the more severe disorders. So I'll just use a child. If a child is misbehaving according to standards of the classroom and it's constant and, they're seen to be having problems learning, then they may get a learning disorder, or they may get, OD, oppositional defiant disorder, or conduct disorder. Some of those more severe things where the outlook is pretty bleak, as opposed to really digging in and asking, is anything going on at home? Are there changes in your life right now where that child would get maybe adjustment disorder diagnosis? Yeah. And I've seen it. I've seen it often. I see it with children. I see it with adults, where an adult may get a major depressive disorder or even a psychotic disorder diagnosis, as opposed to someone who's not Black or Brown might get a milder diagnosis where the outlook seems to be better.
Would you say, just piggybacking off of that a little bit, would you say that there's a stigma attached to mental health in the Black and Brown community?
For sure. For sure, there is. And I think that it's just like with many of the other systems that we encounter, that distrust. That distrust that we're going to be treated fairly or we're going to be treated well. And so often the system proves that we're not. So, it is a stigma in that people, are sometimes afraid to get help, or, they don't want to get help because they don't know what it's going to look like. And then, we still have our own stuff that stigmatizes it as well, as, those keep your business to yourself kind of things, and don't bring other people into the family kind of stuff. So yeah, we get it from all sides.
Definitely. That's one thing that I have been saying, I feel like every single day, right? In our community, we have just grown up with we don't tell our business. We don't allow, people to come in our house and look at our business. Not to trust, individuals that are seen as like, that have power, counselors or social workers or therapists or psychologists, not to trust these people. The fear about everyone taking children away. So just in our community, we have just really been socialized to believe different things that makes it very makes mental health treatment very inaccessible, right? And so again, just breaking down these the stigma, the silence, these stereotypes, so that everyone can get access to adequate care and get the care that they need is definitely so essential, especially today.
Yes, it is, and it's so it makes me feel good when someone of color walks into my office and they're like, oh my gosh, You're the doctor? Like, yes, I am. Because it offers encouragement on so many different levels,
Yeah.
you know? So it's
And it makes you relatable.
Yes, yes. So it's important that we, people who want to get into these fields and think that they don't have an opportunity, that they do it.
Yes. And it's such a need in this field to have individuals of color because, again, seeing someone that looks like you, it kind of brings some of that anxiety down and say, okay, this person may understand my story or where I came from just a little bit better, right? And so some of those anxieties that you have could, once you see someone that looks like you, can be put to rest just a little bit. So good with that. So just shifting gears, just somewhat, talk to us about relationships. What would you say is key or is a key to a healthy relationship?
Good communication.
Yes.
Good communication. That's one of the major keys. Good communication and being, emotionally aware. We talk about emotional intelligence, but I'm saying being emotionally aware. Because oftentimes we get into relationships and we don't even understand ourselves. We don't understand why we react the way we do in situations. We don't know. We can't name our feelings, let alone process them and respond in a healthy manner. So I think that, even knowing yourself before you get into a relationship is so important. Oftentimes we don't do that.
Yeah. Unpacking some of that trauma that you had before you try to bring that baggage and put it on somebody else's table and say, help me understand this, right?
For real, yes.
Making sure you check yourself first. I love it. So we are in such a digitized age right now, right? What would you say most relationships are lacking now that we are in an age where you just don't go out and meet people face to face? Everything is behind social media or a dating app or something to that effect. And so what would you say is lacking in these relationships?
I think getting to know each other. Because talking on the phone for a month or through video chat is not the same thing. It's spending time with someone and getting to know them in different environments and seeing how they respond to different things and different people. Those things are important. So dating is extremely important. And we just don't do dating. We meet, we hook up, we hang out, we don't date. We don't date with and I hate saying dating with a purpose, but we don't date to get to know someone. You don't talk about the important stuff, like, your money story or your family or origin. There are things that raise real red flags when you start asking those questions.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. What would you say it means to love yourself? What does that mean?
I think that means it can play out in different ways for different people. But I think in general, it means to treat yourself with care and talk to yourself with care. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to anyone that you care about. Because a lot of times we talk about self-love, but at the same time, talking to ourselves like we don't care about ourselves. That self-talk is so important, because just like if you have a mate, they don't know you love them unless you tell them.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do. I mean, yeah, actions are important, but words are just as important. So you have to be the same way with yourself. You have to show yourself that you care, that you respect yourself, that you're important. And that means taking care of your physical, your mental, your emotional. And again, talking to yourself like somebody you really love and care about.
I often say in sessions, talk to yourself like you would your best friend.
Yes.
We get so then we're our worst critic. And we get so down on ourselves and beat ourselves up. And I said, would you say that to your best friend? How would you talk to your best friend? Right. And then you kind of see that aha moment, like, oh, okay, I could try that. So yeah, definitely.
Yes. And I've read some research that talked about, saying I love you and nice things to yourself in the mirror has the same effect in your brain as it does if someone else is saying it to you. So it's important that you say these things to yourself.
Yeah. I wonder if that's where affirmations come in, right?
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense. So, Dr. Ferguson, would you say that therapy is helpful? Why or why not?
Therapy is extremely helpful. Not just because I'm a therapist, but therapist is helpful because it helps you get to understand yourself and how you move in every area of your life. You know, it takes you off of automatic pilot.
Yeah.
And shines a light on what you think, what you feel, how you behave. And you see, I'm coming from a CBT perspective as I'm talking about that. But therapy is extremely helpful with that because you have someone to help guide you as well as you're doing these things and telling you, helping you to be able to do this in a manner where you're not being harmed.
Yeah.
So it does work. It's extremely helpful.
So tell us the tea. You are an expert in the field. You spend so much time pouring into other people. What stress reduction techniques do you currently utilize to keep yourself grounded?
Well, I use a number of different things. And it depends on the situation. So that's why we talk about having a toolbox, so that when this thing happened, this is what I need. So I do reading. I love to read. I write. That is one of my biggest ways of letting things out. I do a lot of writing. I spend time with my family. I travel. I work out. And a long hot bath is my favorite. It is my favorite thing. Just chilling and relaxing and doing some deep breathing and just letting it all wash away. Yeah.
That's amazing. And so for the average person, they don't even have to go anywhere, right? They don't have to leave their home. Just shut that bathroom door, get some hot water, sit in it, soak for a bit, and just do some breathing exercises and let the day wash away.
Yes. That is the best.
Yes. So what else would you like to share with us? Now is the time. What haven't you told us that you would just like for us to know, would like our audience to know about you? How could we find you? Just spill it here.
Well, just like everyone else these days, I am on social media. I'm at Dr. Carissa on Facebook, Dr. Carissa on Instagram. And one of my favorite things to do nowadays is, we have a Facebook group called Relationship Flow. And on Friday nights, we do Sip and Chat. And on Sip and Chat, we talk all things relationship. So we have a nice discussion. We invite people to talk with us, and we just talk about anything and everything that has to do with relationships and making them healthy. So that is, I didn't mention, but that is one of my outlets as well.
That is through.
Yeah, that is one of my activities.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure that all of your information is pinned under your video. I really thank you for spending some time with us this morning and giving us your tips and your tea on mental health, relationships, and mental awareness. Thank you for showing up for us this morning. You have an amazing day, and we will chat soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.